Very interestingly, there are, I think, many resemblances between the modern economy and the ancient times. And manufacturing and commercial trading are two of the major economic activities throughout the history. Now, because both of these two aspects of economy depend heavily on human resource and intellectual power, immigration of skilled labor is crucial to economic success and the life of people. So we'll now pay particular attention to the ancient teachings on the immigration of these skilled labors. So we'll first refer to the 9 standard rules of the government. This is a response from Confucius to the Duke I of Lu when the Duke asked Confucius about governance. So as you can see, you can pause the video and have a look at these 9 standard rules. Okay, please pause the video and have a look. So after introducing these 9 rules, Confucius said, by the ruler's cultivation of his own character, the duties of universal obligation are set forth. By honoring men of virtue and talents, he is preserved from errors of judgment. By showing affection to his relatives, there is no grumbling nor resentment among his uncles and brethren. By respecting the great ministers, he is kept from errors in the practice of the government. By kind and considerate treatment of the whole body of the officers, they are led to make the most grateful return for his courtesies. By dealing with the mass of the people as his children, they are led to exhort one another to what is good. By encouraging the resort of a class of artisans, his resources for expenditure are rendered ample. By indulgent treatment of men from a distance, they are brought to the resort to him from all quarters. And lastly, by kindly cherishing the princes of the states, the whole kingdom is brought to revere him. Now, the first 6 rules are about domestic governing, and the rest are about international relations. Now, accepting the last rule as diplomatic principle, the other 2 are economic doctrines, which are related to including all artisans to immigrate and the indulgent treatment of foreigners. Now, we can see that Confucius always regarded economic life not as a national phenomenon, but an international one. So for this reason, he doesn't give out any economic principle until he reaches the 7th and the 8th rules. And it's exactly for the same reason that the Great Learning doesn't touch any economic problem until the very last chapter, where Confucius talks about bringing peace to the world. Now, coming back to our point here, these 2 rules refer to industry and commerce only. So let's read the paragraphs again, specifically about these 2 rules. By encouraging the resort of all classes of artisans, his resources for expenditure are rendered ample. By indulgent treatment of men from a distance, they are brought to resort to him from all quarters. So this means, from the government's perspective, the accumulation of wealth comes from attracting all kinds of men of skills. In modern language, this means skilled labor and import of talents. So this can operate on both national level and international level. Taking international level as an example, the prosperity of the United States of America has greatly benefited from the contribution of immigrants for generations. The founding father, George Washington, embraced for an open economy, an open America. As he said to the newly arrived Irishman in 1783, America is open to receive not only the opulent and respectable stranger, but also the oppressed and persecuted of all nations and religions, welcome to a participation of all our rights and privileges, if by decency and propriety of conduct they appear to merit the enjoyment. So ever since then, immigrants to the United States have not only brought skills and techniques, but also helped the nation's employment and economic power on a deeper level. If we take recent data as an example, immigrant-owned businesses with employees have an average 11 employees. And 7.6% of immigrants to the US were self-employed, and they also founded more than 40% of Fortune 500 companies in the world. So this reflects the diversity of skills brought by, immigrant labors. Historically speaking, there is no doubt that wealth of a nation is a direct consequence of the incoming of artisans and skilled labors. This also applies to national level human resource management. Okay, the development of underdeveloped regions will also require skilled labors. Now, on the commercial trading side, Confucius advocates for a policy of indulgent treatment. On the one hand, this encourages foreign merchants to do business in the country. Ever since the opening of China in late 1970s and the officially joining the WTO in 2001, the country has developed numerous policies that welcome foreign companies to do business in the country. And these modern merchants, if you like, have contributed greatly to the economic life of China. On the other hand, the international interaction is not limited to commercial activities, but also include intellectual exchange and cultural exchange. So the key is the indulgent treatment of foreigners. Why? Well, this is simply because foreigners come a long way to your country, and is a natural thing to establish rapport and build good relationship. Now, we know that it is very important for government to be open to foreign skilled labors and to encourage international interaction. What it is perhaps more important to understand how to achieve this. In the Doctrine of the Mean, Confucius explains that the key to attract talents is fairness. He said, by daily examinations and monthly trials, and by making their rations in accordance with their labors, this is the way to encourage the classes of artisans. So we must not misunderstand that, the government has to lower the bar in order to attract talents. Well, talented people are not looking for special treatment. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair for the local people, and it would have to be harmful to the economy. A fair system that rewards the skill with the right amount of remuneration is more than enough to maintain the attraction of the government. Now, regarding the way to treat foreigners, Confucius said, to escort them on their departure and meet them on their coming, to commend the good among them and show compassion to the incompetent. This is the way to treat indulgently men from a distance. Now, because it is such a hassle, right, to travel long distance to a different country, the government should provide convenience to foreigners in traveling. Also, psychologically speaking, it is more stressful for foreigners to cope with difficulties of life in a different country. So the government should make an effort to make sure that they receive proper help when needed. Well, there can be an argument of why bother? Because after all, nobody invited them to come in, right? Why should we waste money and treat them so nicely? Well, I guess this is, probably the difference between sages and us. So on the shallow level, A policy like this will increase the attractiveness of the government to foreign talents, but in the long term, it will increase the intellectual power of the country and expand its business network. That is on a shallow level, but on a deeper level, this will create a harmony between the country and the rest of the world. I mean, after all, right? We all like to visit generous and kind neighbors and be good friends with them. So when there is harmony, there is no conflict. And when there is no conflict, there is peace. And when there is peace, there is economic development. So I guess we can see that, what lies behind the standard of government is truly the principle of love and reciprocity that we have mentioned as the fundamental principles in Confucianism in Lecture 1. The government must show fairness in order to attract the people, and it must treat the travelers well in order to be treated with equal kindness. So I would say there really is no secret in the governing principles of ancient China, and there is enormous unity between personal cultivation and country management. Thank you.